Hey everybody, it's Anna J. Wallner with the Author Library, and today I am ecstatic to have on the show Melissa Riddell. Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Melissa Riddell. I'm from Texas, if you can't tell from my accent, West Texas specifically. I've been writing for about uh, close to 2 years now, and I'm traditionally and independently published. So,
That's awesome. And your first book, The Descendant, was published in 2009. Uh,
2019.
2019, sorry. And the it's the first of the Baltin Trilogy or the Savage World series. And since then, you've gone on to write seven more. Where do you find the time? Where do you find the inspiration? That's been 2 years and seven books.
Yeah. So I didn't know this, but I guess I'm a prolific writer. So I can push out a book. Now I've worked full time. I work for the Department of Defense. I'm a contractor. So I work full time. I go to school. I'm going to college full time, American Public University, and then I write. So I find the time as soon as I get off work, pretty much. I generally do some schoolwork and then go straight to writing. So I have no life. That's all I do: work, school, and writing. But I look at it as an investment for the future.
Absolutely. That's amazing that you're able to take on so much because it's
It's a lot.
for
But I don't have any little kids or anything. And my husband, he pretty much doesn't see me at all. So, that's a big plus. My child, she's 25, or she's about to be 25. She's already grown. So,
Yeah, it is quite the challenge to try and find the time to write with a little one that wants to watch Frozen on repeat. And yeah, that's tough. So
yeah, I can't, when I was young, probably about 20 or 21, I tried because I have written since I was a teenager off and on, like, short stories, poems, even songs. But when I was 20 or 21, my daughter was about two, and I bought an old typewriter, and I was bang, 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 typing away. I typed this manuscript. It was a piece of crap. Now that I look back, I've seen it, and I'm like, oh. But I mean, I didn't have time though. I mean, like, I was doing that every night, trying to take care of. I can't imagine now. There's no way I could do it with a small child at home.
it's definitely a challenge.
Sure.
But the Balton trilogy, the first series follows Tilly and her four-legged ally as they search for Tilly's sister. It's a very interesting plot where the world has been changed by an EMP, which is electromagnetic pulse, from an alien invasion. And it introduces us to Jareth, a handsome stranger who becomes Tilly's rescue. So the story continues with the betrayer and the redeemer. Mm-hmm. And it's such a thrilling storyline. What was it like to write that? I mean, that's alien invasion, electromagnetic pulse. I mean, where
so,
I guess
so the EMP idea, I mean, there's a lot of books out there. It's definitely not a new idea. As we were talking earlier, writers, we never really create original ideas. I mean, it might seem like it, but generally we're influenced by the things we've read, the shows we've watched. So we will take something probably and regurgitate it, give it our own spin, our own voice. But this story, so I guess I want to say back in early 2019, around January, I was taking an English class for the degree I'm working on. And it really got me back into writing because I hadn't really written a whole lot, I mean, off and on. And so at the time, I worked on site at an Air Force base. And oh, God. So I had this idea. I'm a big sci-fi nut, fantasy, whatever. So I was thinking, man, what if there was an alien, housed here? So I got my wheels turning. So I wrote this short story, which ended up being sort of the groundwork for The Descendants. So that's where the EMP came in, and the alien invasion. But the Descendant also, so the EMP disables the world, and I actually wrote a prequel to it, The Intrusion, which came out in the end of December. But what actually wipes out humanity is a virus. And so, this was before what we're
Yeah.
going through right now. And so it's a GI virus, so it's a little bit different, thank goodness. But yeah, so that was some weird parallels. So I've had people ask, like, because it came out like 2 months right before, and I'm
Did
like,
it come
I
and
did not.
did you have a dream?
And then, so I started the story. So I started a brand new story, kind of based on that early one I wrote. But I'd been playing Fallout 4 on the Xbox.
I'm sorry,
So
that's my game.
I love Fallout 4. So
I
there's
lost half a year of my life to that game, y'all.
yes.
I had
So
the poster up on the wall.
I love that game. I love the characters. So I played the woman, Avatar, and Dog Meat, the dog.
Yes.
And so the red, I think it's the Red Rocket gas station. I
Yes.
can't remember. Okay, so that is where one scene is inspired, where Tilly meets Kodiak is actually inspired by that game.
God.
So yeah, so between where I worked at the time and then playing that game, that's how the story was birthed.
I have to read this. I have to read this. Oh my God.
I even painted pictures. I haven't finished it because I started writing, so all my artwork went down the drain. But I even have my character painted with dog meat. I have the nuclear explosion in the background. I have Nick, Nick the cyborg.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man, any of the power suit, power armor, and all that. So yeah.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to talk after this off camera about Fallout 4. I just know it.
I love that game.
For real. I was trying to explain it to somebody else earlier about VATS and Nuka-Cola and all of that, and they were like, sounds like an interesting game. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I completely derailed that.
No, I love that game. All right, yeah, we have to focus. Sorry, I'm the same way.
But yeah, I'm so excited, Bethesda, hurry up and release the new one. Like seriously, like now. Anyway, so the Ravenlight Cycles, the covers are simply alluring. I mean, from the cover lines to the storylines, can you tell me a little about the fairy tales behind the series? And by the way, the second book in the series is available now for pre-order and releases in March, just right around the corner.
March 9th, yes. I've been busy. So yeah, Ravenlight Cycles. So I actually bought the cover before I ever wrote the first word. I didn't even know what I was going to be writing. So I bought the cover from coveraffairs.com. She was having a sale and I saw it on Facebook and I just fell in love with it. I was like, I have to have that cover because covers speak to me. And a lot of times now that I'm a little more experienced, I will buy a cover before I ever write the story. The cover decides the story. So I bought it and I kept looking at it. And, I think it's actually a crow on the cover, but, your cover you buy just should depict your story. It doesn't have to match it exactly. So anyways, I was like, I want to write. I love doing twisted fairy tales. So I was like, I know there's a fairy tale I read as a kid about a raven. And people think, it's based on The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. It's not. This is based on a Grimm's Brothers fairy tale called The Raven. And basically, it's long story short, this man has to go through several trials. Like he has to refuse what's opportunity to drink, to eat, can't fall asleep, to save the princess and be able to marry her. So I took that and twisted it around. And so Sophie, she's the one that has to save Reven. And his name is Reven. So it's a tribe of Native Americans, and they were cursed over 200 years ago by another rival shaman because because of something they did in the past. I don't want to give too many. And so the only way that their curse can be broken is by someone who's willing to dream walk for them and possibly sacrifice themselves, their souls. So each book focuses on a member of the Ravenlight tribe, and it's told from dual point of views. So anyways, that's Yeah, and where that came from, I have no idea. I'm a pantser. I usually don't have outlines. I just start writing and yep. And to me, that's the best story, you know, because if I don't know what's going to happen, neither does the reader.
Ah, great point.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is so true. And whenever you're enjoying and getting into that, whenever you pants it, it's almost like just as exciting to write as it is to read.
Yes,
And that comes through in the story, I think.
yes. It when I have to, cause like with my trilogy, with the Baltin trilogy. So the first book, it was completely the Descendant. It was completely pants based on those things I told you about. But I knew I get scenes in my head, probably like a lot of pantsers, and I jot them down. I have no idea, you know,
Where you
where
can
they're
use
going to
them.
connect, right? But I already knew kind of the end of the entire trilogy. So the middle book, The Betrayer, and the last book, I did have to do a really loose outline just to make sure
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
miss any
right.
points from from the first book and the plot. I had to but that's hard for me as a pantser because I feel constrained.
Oh,
So
no.
I write very loose outline so that way I can tweak it, and if it turns into something else, that's okay. Just as long as
Yeah,
I touch those certain points.
yeah, it the further into a series that you get, you kind of have to have a few notes to kind of remind, even though you wrote it, you may not, readers, you may not understand this, but we don't remember every little specific thing from the first book if we're on book number 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need notes too.
Yeah, I do keep character sheets now, especially for the Ravenlight, because there's seven. It originally was 8 tribe members, or seven now, so I have to keep notes. And then the townspeople. It's based in a small town too, in Texas, so
I
those
am
characters will come back into each book. And it's getting bigger and bigger. So the first one I wrote, Ravenlight. This one was only about 35,000 words. So
I love the cover, guys. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous?
but the next one, Raven's Song, ended up being 50,000 words. So hopefully by the time I'm done, I can write a lot of words if I'm not, careful. So I'm trying to keep within the. I don't want it to go over 60,000 or so if I can help it. So we'll see how that goes.
Gotcha. Well, I am, for one, am already invested in the storyline itself. My grandfather was very Native American, and I've always had a fascination, even though I was adopted. I have a huge fascination with Native American culture, and I am already invested in the Ravenlight series. Like,
Well,
I'm after this, I'm pre-ordering on Amazon. I'm ordering the first one, or I'm buying the first one, and I'm pre-ordering the second one. So
well, my great grandmother was full-blooded Native American, so that I think that part was inspired probably by her. So
yeah, I would have loved to have had the technology that we do now, because he did not know from which tribe we have that technology now to determine, ethnicity and DNA whenever it comes to specific tribes, but he did not know. But you can even, I mean, the pictures that I have, he's very, very, very Native American. So I
yeah,
hold Native American mythology and the Native American culture in very high esteem because of my grandfather.
yeah. I'm the
So
same way. Yep. I actually did the ancestry test, and the Native American did come back in my blood. So it wasn't a lot, because with DNA you don't know what you're going to inherit.
right, of
But
course.
yeah, she was definitely. We were kind of scared of her as kids. I was really young. Like I think she passed away when I was probably like 11 or 12. But she was very stoic. I do remember her braids over her shoulder. She chewed she chewed tobacco. But
Yes.
she was very stern, and she did not take any crap at all. And so we were kind of like, ooh,
Grandma's
because
in
we
the
knew she
house.
would beat our butt.
Yes, ma'am. Nope. I've just same Texas kind of upbringing there. We have that in common.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he worked the cattle and worked I grew up on a farm, a cattle ranch out in East Texas.
Okay.
And he, until the day he could no longer physically do it, he was out there working the cattle.
Yeah.
So
Hard
that's,
worker.
yeah, definitely. Oh man, the newest series that you've undertaken is completely different. So the newest series that you've undertaken is the Fallen Angel series.
Yes.
The first one being Cursed, which is available now for pre-order and will be also released in March.
That one, yeah.
I
So that
mean, March is a big month.
yeah, my PAs, they're like, "What the hell were you thinking?" I'm like, "I don't know," because back then I didn't know much marketing. I just threw a date out there, and now they get a hold of me a lot of times. So Haney Hayes Promotions, those are my PAs. But now we have a schedule, so I may end up moving Curse to April just to kind of keep things a little bit not quite
That's
so
heck,
cluttered. But Curse came, I actually wrote Curse, the beginnings of it, right after I finished The Descendant, and I was waiting for, to hear back. I queried that, that's the only time I'd ever queried, but I'd queried a couple of publishers, so I thought, I'm going to write while I'm waiting. And so Curse came, I don't know, but, these ideas as writers, this one just came out of the blue. So I wrote the first half of it. It's basically takes Cain from the Bible, and he's been living all these years cursed, the mark of Cain. He was marked, thrown out into the land of Nod. So it's not a big, it's not like a Christian book. So
right.
people don't get the wrong idea. I mean, this is a dark book. It's about fallen angels. Although he's not an angel, that's his aspiration. That's his goal. So every character that a writer has, they should have a goal they want. Whether you agree with it or not, that's what he wants. He wants to earn his wings from Lucifer, because he wants to go and revenge, or I guess he wants to exact his vengeance on his father Adam, who cursed him. And so of course he's angry with God too. He's been lonely, I mean, because basically, so his curse is he can't be with other humans or they die. They look at him, he's basically got a mark, then I mean, that was the whole point of it, to make him suffer, to be alone, because he killed his
Right.
brother. That's the story anyways. So,
Right.
and anyway, so and I've already bought the covers. I've already got everything ready for that. So each book, each subsequent book will actually deal with one of the fallen angels. But his goal, Cain, is to become. Lucifer has that power to give him. But things aren't always. He
What
meets Phoebe, and of course, there's a lot of plot twists and stuff. But what he thought he wanted after he meets Phoebe, may
may not quite be what he thought he wanted after all.
Yep. So it's
Does
it's a fun ride.
does this take place in biblical times, or is this an
No.
urban fantasy that takes place here in today's world?
Yes. I would say I'm having a hard time deciding whether I think it's going to be a paranormal urban fantasy, because there are parts of it that take place in an urban setting. Like we have a college campus, like an old missile silo, but then there's such paranormal aspects to it, because he does have demonic powers
Well,
that were
yeah.
granted to him, because Lucifer, who's actually Lucian in the book, that's the name he prefers to go by, granted him, kind of took him in, and the reader can see how he kind of became a father figure. But then again, the reader can see that you know he's not Lucifer for just no reason. He's evil, and he has his own motives. Maybe not evil, but
I
yeah,
think
it's been a lot of fun.
I'm definitely intrigued, because I can kind of imagine where I would go with that. How about that?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play. Like, and then I can't wait to start um, with the other characters. I've already got, as you start writing, these characters start coming out, and you're like,
Yep.
oh yeah, that's for the third book. Okay, his story.
The sometimes secondary and tertiary characters grab your attention as a writer more so than you thought they would, and they end
Yes.
up making it into the forefront eventually, without you even realizing it, until you say, this guy or this girl, we need to talk a little bit. There's more I can do with that,
Mm-hmm.
which is always so much fun.
Yeah, it is.
So I have to ask, I know like it's so hard to pick, but of all the series and the characters that you've written, do you have a favorite book or a favorite character, one that just like sticks close to your heart?
I do. It would have to be so book wise, the funnest book is actually and it was the fastest book. Actually ended up being Behind the Lyrics. This one just released yesterday. And this is a contemporary romance. And it's about 50,000 words, so it's not crazy long. So that was really fun because I had fun. I'd never written contemporary romance before. But character-wise, my absolute favorite character would be Jareth from the Baltin series because the reader will realize, besides the Ravenlight series, that's a sweet young adult. It's targeted, but my other books are more new adult, so they're going to have language,
Mhm.
there's always, no, not always, but there might be closed door sex, never open. That's on this pen name. I don't do open door.
Right.
But Jareth is my favorite because he's pretty shady, and the readers know if they've read the trilogy, they know exactly what I'm talking about because
Okay.
he's morally gray. Like, he doesn't see things like, regular. I wouldn't say regular, but like some people do. It,
I I like
you don't.
that.
Yeah,
I like
I love diving into someone with compromises in their morality.
it's because the complexities of a morally gray character are intriguing, but it's also something that we as human beings, just in human nature, we deal with. So it's relatable as from a character arc standpoint.
It is, and and that's the thing is too. To them, there may not be a moral issue, because
Right.
and as long as you let the reader inside their head to see why they think this is the right course of action, you can create that connection. Even though the reader may not agree with what they're doing, they still can understand it. And that's the thing is you try to make that character relatable and make them understand why they're doing this, even though, they shouldn't. So
Well, guys, some fantastic things for you to check out from Melissa, and all of those links will be in the description below. If you haven't already, guys, subscribe to the channel. Don't miss out on upcoming content like today. Thank you so much again for coming on the show and talking with us. I mean, it's just been awesome to hear about, and I promise you, you're about to see 2 sales like right now because I'm going on Amazon and ordering the Ravenlight series. I'm hooked just from that, and probably the Baltic ones too. Just because now I know that there's a Fallout connection, and I'm
yeah.
like, how can I resist?
Yeah, you'll definitely feel the Fallout vibe in the gas station when Tilly
Oh,
and Kodiak meet.
that's awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, no, thank you so much for taking me up on the offer. And everybody, check out the links below. Check out Melissa's page on Twitter and all of her social media, and Amazon as well. And stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.